ACW is sponsored by HpDMS. Self-care through skincare. HpDMS is for everybody. Welcome to ACW Podcast. Thank you for joining us. I am Robin Gabriel-Parson, your host, and our co-host today is Dr. Gabriel Gabriel, our life science expert, and it's always a pleasure to have Dr. Gabriel here sharing his knowledge. Now, it's a new year, everyone. We've been discussing new you in a new year. Along with that, this is our second season. So we're excited about that. So we have Dr. Gabriel here to share his expertise and his approach and methods that can help you become that new you in the new year. Now, our discussion is around tools, information, resources that can help you really get rid of any self-doubt you might be having when you're speaking of stepping into that new you. When I say new you, I'm thinking about new attitude. So that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk about how we can help you and encourage you to really step into that new you and change your mindset when it comes to personal growth, things that you might want to do in life that you haven't done and you feel like something's holding you back. It could be in your career. It could be in the workforce. It could be in relationships. So that's our focus today. So welcome, Dr. Gabriel. Welcome back and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Robin. I'm glad to be here with you guys. A new year, 2021. We're getting rid of a president. Yay. And this is the first time I ever did a yay. I'm getting rid of a president. And I use the term president loosely. But here's the thing is that it's a new year. Forget about the politics right now and really looking at how do you focus on getting you better. We are in the middle of other aspect as a pandemic. When the initial stages of vaccine rollout, everybody get your vaccination is really, really important.
Yes.
Because you can't become a new you if you get infected with COVID. So to make sure that you stay socially distanced. Right now, you wear your mask. You take your vaccinations. Take for ones that have 2 doses, take both doses. You know, don't just take one of them, take both of them. And there's going to be other medications coming out soon that will allow you to only take one vaccination. So we're looking forward to that coming up. But in order for us to get back to normal and for us to thrive, we also have to take care of this pandemic that we're currently under. So,
correct.
So that's the key thing.
Dr. Gabriel, I believe that most of us, and I'm just going to share, most of us, we're looking after ourselves physically and practically each and every day. Everyone's brushing their teeth, they're eating, they're showering, they're wearing warm clothes if it's cold. So you're doing things that's a given. But my thing, what I want to talk about today is the not so given. What are we doing in reference to collecting information or tapping into inspirational speakers and people that are inspiring us to break down these barriers, break down these self-doubts and these insecurities we're having? And that's what I really want to talk today, giving people some sense of encouragement, motivation, methods, approaches that we can help them build themselves psychologically and intellectually. Like I say, again, it's a given that we're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to eat, we're going to brush our teeth, we're going to do the things we do. But do we spend time with collecting information to help us look at life differently from an intellectual and just that whole psychological stimulation? So my question to you is, the importance of ridding ourselves of self-doubt, removing barriers, and releasing insecurities. Please elaborate on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, it's such a question that has a complexity to it, but so everyone has to approach removing self-doubt from wherever they are in life. And so, like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't begin to look at everyone's personal situation. look at where they are. For some people, some people want to be more outspoken. Some people want to be less shy. Some people want to be physically in shape. So there's a whole range. My point is that there's a whole range, and all I can do is kind of give you some generic foundation for building off of, that you can build upon to look at removing things like self-doubt. And also, we don't know what people's personal situation is. Sometimes we live in situations where an environment where we live around people that perpetuate self-doubt and negativity. So, there's such thing as you are the company you keep. You keep negative people around you. You're gonna think negatively. You're gonna talk negatively. You're gonna act negatively. So first thing you got to do is you got to look at what's around you. What's around you, and sometimes it's not just people. It's your environment. Sometimes if you're living in an environment where it's unkept or untidy, that can affect you emotionally. So you can have a sense of depression. A lot of times you say, well, Gary, what are you talking about? You're probably talking about, hey, wait a minute, I don't have any money. And even your financial situation might put you in a aspect of self-doubt. So some things you'll be able to do something about right away, and some things it'll just take time. The key is to, on your path to removing self-doubt, is to you got to first declare that you want to change. Like you can't just say, I don't, I want to remove self-doubt from my environment. And you don't take the steps to start putting yourself on a pathway to removing elements of self-doubt around you. And then some aspects of self-doubt are just simply our own chemistry. We did a show maybe a week or so ago talking about depression, and then talking about chemical imbalance. Sometimes there's no rational reason why there's self-doubt. Sometimes it might be just from a dietary standpoint. You're not getting enough sleep. You're not eating right. You're eating the wrong things, and those things are processed into chemicals that affect mood and depression, which can then lead to things like self-doubt. So my point is that you got to sit down first and do an inventory and survey your environment. Survey the people that you're around. Survey what your current health goals are. Survey how you're treating your health today, and what should you be changing concerning your health. That's the first step to start to look at removing issues of self-doubt. Don't think about it from a standpoint that, wait a minute, I can't remove self-doubt. I don't make enough money. I don't have the right job. I'm not affiliated with the right family, or I live in the wrong part of the country. It's very easy to look at all the reasons there is self-doubt. And then one of the most amazing things, you look at people that are incarcerated. Some people that are incarcerated that they can be in a 6x9 cell, but yet educate themselves, yet become things like lawyers and philosophers and read books, because it's a mindset. Removing self-doubt is a mindset. And then once you get that mindset, you start making changes in your environment, in your people, what you put in your body. Everything changes. Every direction you look at changes when you have the desire to remove self-doubt. So that's my recommendation to people.
That's interesting what you brought up, the example you shared with someone who's maybe imprisoned in a cell, and the whole focus is mind. It really starts with your mind. So I appreciate that. Now, my question also is the analogy between personal growth and self-care, because to me, I think it's all just one aspect. So let's elaborate on that in reference to personal growth and self-care, because we really want our audience to understand it's a new year. It's a new you. Let's do something different. And it starts with that personal growth. Everybody has to personally take responsibility for, just growing within their minds, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So the analogy between personal growth and self-care, can you elaborate on that for us?
Well, to me, the two are one and the same. The two are connected. So you can't, self-care is, to me, is a subcategory of personal growth. It's a subcategory. So personal growth, it goes back, it leans on to the answer I gave a moment ago. Everything about you changes when you decide to change. So, the way you walk, the way you talk, what you eat, who you hang around, what you do, what time you go to bed, what time you get up in the morning, what you do, how long you exercise, what type of people you talk to, what type of books you read, what type of music you listen to, what type of art you look at. Everything about you changes when you decide that personal growth is what you're trying to achieve. But here's the thing. I don't want to come off and have it sound like, personal growth is just an easy thing. Very, 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 very good, Gary. I will start my personal growth program in the next 15 minutes. It just doesn't work like that.
Right.
You don't snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're personally growing. I think what happens in people's lives is that everybody has what I call precipice moments. Everybody has moments that can cause you, like an inflection point. It can cause you to change a direction or change an angle on the way you're going through your journey in life. Once you hit that angle, you say to yourself, listen, you don't have to tell me I have to eat better. I'll start to eat better. I'll start to learn what it takes to eat better. You don't have to tell me I don't need to hang around negative people and be around conversations that go nowhere, that have no substance, that have nothing to build upon, that have no connection. I automatically will realize that I'll need to change that direction. So the way you start personally growing, you have to start exposing yourself to different worlds or different environments. And one of the things that I think is really important is the ability to read different books and read different walks of life and where people are coming from.
Right.
A wonderful thing that we have, the internet. You can Google different stories and different testimonials and look at how people have overcome challenges and difficult situations. And those things can inspire you to change. So my point is, find yourself an exposure point. The exposure point you may not find it through a Google search or through a book. It may be a person that you see and you say, well, that person looks like they really got it together. Let me find out what they're doing and how they're doing what they're doing. Let me find out what their belief system is. So a lot of times it's just becoming an interviewer. And what I'm meaning by becoming an interviewer, if you see a direction, an honorable direction, and that's why I want to make sure I qualify that. You see an honorable direction upon which you want to travel. Investigate it, interview it, find out why does it exist? Why is it successful? Find out what are the elements that you would like to mimic or copy. And that kind of exposure, those are the building blocks of finding the things that you can use to put you on a path. And that's the key thing. You don't have to copy something exactly. Find what works for you. Extract the things that you can use that are positive to move you in a positive direction. And that's how you start looking at changing your purpose. And then the self-care part is a subcategory that becomes a part of it. You'll automatically start investing into self-care as you look at your own changing your own personal purpose and your personal growth. What I also find, I'm just telling about my own self, and so for me, I love vocabulary. So oftentimes I have an app, and I'll try to learn a new word each day, and I try to put the word in the sentence and say, okay, I'm going to incorporate that word in my daily speak. That to me is an element of personal growth and change. Find something small. Don't try to do it all in one day. You change over time. So you find a small thing and stay consistent with it. If it's health, if it's working out, if all you can do is 5 push-ups, do 5 push-ups a day. Then that 5 push-ups will go to 10, and that 10 will go to 20, 20 go to 40. Find something small and stay consistent with it. And that starts, and you think, well, you're using push-ups as an example. You'd be surprised how the discipline of doing 5 push-ups a day can then bring out the very element of discipline. And then you start looking at, where am I undisciplined in other parts of my life? Then you take that same element of discipline that started out with those push-ups, that will say, hey, I'm not going to eat pineapple upside down cheesecake anymore. That same discipline will transfer to, okay, you stop eating cheesecake. And then that discipline will go to something else. I want to call a friend every week. Then that discipline will go somewhere else. Well, you know what? I'm going to show up on my job on time. Or I'm going to contribute in a meeting on my job. You see how, what I'm talking about, how you start with one small thing and it then viralizes other parts of your life. And that's how you start to do personal growth.
Yes, appreciate that. And I love the step-by-step approach, because it's not easy. Take one little step at a time, because self-care is really about taking care of ourselves to enable us to feel happier, calmer, and to have a good and strong physical and emotional well-being. So I can't imagine people going through life. I guess I can imagine people do go through life and never really evolve, never really find that place of, you're in your 20s, you understand, 20s is that learning time, 30s is that learning, 40s, 50s. And sometimes people never really tap into their full grown self. So I appreciate that. Please elaborate on the importance of, and you said it, you answered the question, but feeding our minds with information that motivates and encourages us to make us confident. Because a lot of people are not confident. It may be easy for you and I to say, okay, I'm going to take this personal growth journey, and I'm going to, each day I'm going to focus on it. But it really has to do with building a level of confidence too. I know for me, I'm not speaking for everybody else. So my thing is information that motivates and encourages us to be confident. Is there anything in particular you can recommend, like a book? Because I know myself, I like listening to and tapping into different philosophy in reference to being inspiring, and just how other people think in reference to when it comes to, that personal growth. So what type of books would you recommend, or information? Or
well, I'm since I'm into life science and health and stuff, I tend to me, knowledge is confidence. And you kind of have to find the things that first feed you and feed your spirit. So if it's, for me, what feeds my spirit is just knowledge of how the human body works, knowledge of nutrition and physically how the body works. That's the thing that kind of feeds me. What's going to feed people will be right for each one of us individually. So you kind of have to find the thing that feeds you. And I always say, do an inventory. If it's music, then allow music to feed you. If it's art, then allow art to feed you. If it's music, any one of those things. If it's reading books, if it's intellectual things, I tend to be more science-based. So I try to really seek out those things to kind of feed me. I'm not I understand that there's a broad range of books and philosophers out there. And I tell people, find, if there's a philosopher that speaks to you, then stay there, because that's a source of inspiration. I'm just one where you find out where your talents are and where your passions are. You find out the type of environments and people and situations you want to be around, and you seek those things out. And then once you seek those things out, you can be inspired by many things. For me, I'm a if it's really more literature, I shift significantly, and so for me, I'm into this whole social justice thing. I'm into this whole thing. Like I spend a lot of time looking at authors like James Baldwin, and I read through a lot of his works because a lot of what he talks about back then is pertinent to what we're going through today. But it also gives me inspiration for how I should move through today. But that's my inspiration. So I don't want to give you something that's me, and you're like, oh well, I'm not getting anything from this. To me, do an inventory of what you gravitate to, and from a positivity standpoint. I always like to start with self before you look to others. Look to having a strong body and a strong mind, and then it'll allow you to sponge in and bring in things that will inspire you. So that's kind of like my answer to your question. I know it's not a direct answer, but I like to give people a scaffold to build upon on themselves first, starting with your mind and your body, and then grow out to the rest of the world.
When people have like limited perspectives, is it possible for a person to reach a point of burnout within their life? And the next thing you know, they're triggering this lack of self-awareness.
Well,
Is
absolutely. Well, I would say absolutely. If you reach a point of burnout, you're no longer looking at things, from a objective standpoint. We have a lens, and all of us, where we tend to look at everything from an objective side and a subjective side, and there's a balance somewhere in between. When you have different parts of your life that may stress us to the point of burnout, that means that you have imbalance. When you're burnt out, you're imbalanced, and when you're imbalanced, you cannot look at things objectively, and you cannot really grow. So your point is very well taken on the importance of making sure that you're living life in balance as much as you can. None of us are perfect. We all are not going to be living in a perfect subjective, objective state that has balance to it all the time. It's just impossible. Things happen in life. You grow up. You have bills. You have family. You have all kinds of things that can skew your perspective. But this whole concept of burnout is a concept that I think comes from just a lack of understanding the importance of doing self-care on a daily basis. And when I say self-care, and again, and I'm not talking about anything super elaborate, sometimes self-care is finding a place where you can just be quiet with yourself. Just be quiet. Just don't look at the news. Don't talk to your friends. Just go find a spot where you can just sit back, find your favorite book or not, and just sit back and just take in a sense of quietness. Sometimes having a sense of quietness can just settle the mind. And then the other thing that I do, I have a therapist, and my therapist has taught me this thing called the authentic self. And in the authentic self, realizing the authentic self, we have to look at every situation that we are confronted with. And in every situation that we are confronted with, its goal is to drive you from being your authentic self. Now, you're saying, well, what is the authentic self? The authentic self is simply having a sense that you're alive, that you're doing fine, and that you have the potential to change things for the better. It's just having that sense that, hey, you didn't die, nothing happened to you. It's just you just being grateful for having a sense of being grateful to be alive. So let's call the authentic self, like imagine yourself you're the bus driver, and that bus driver is called the authentic self. and you're driving a bus route, and on that bus route, different things get on that bus. Different people catch the bus. They pay their fare and they sit down in their seat. So imagine that one of the people that will get on the bus, that person's name is doubt. Imagine another person getting on the bus. That person's name is jealousy. Imagine another person that's getting on the bus. That person is named worry. Imagine another person that's getting on the bus. That person's name is anger. So imagine all these different negative riders on the bus, and you are the bus driver, and your name is authentic self. You're just happy to be and exist. Imagine you're driving down a street called Happy Street. That's your street. But doubt wants you to pull over because you don't think you're going to get that job. And then anger wants you to pull over because anger says that person said something nasty to you and you'll never talk to that person again. And jealousy wants you to pull over because why did you talk to that person? You didn't talk to me. So you see what I'm saying?
Right.
When we drive, when we are living as human beings, our authentic selves, we come into this life realizing the magnanimous and wonderful aspects of just living and being above ground. Imagine that you have all kinds of things that are trying to pull you off of your route of happiness. And so what you have to do as a bus driver, you have to stay on your route. And there are times when you might be angry or you might be jealous. So here's what I suggest people do. I suggest you not ignore those things, but call them out. In other words, when you are angry, say that you're angry, but don't stay in anger. Spend that time thinking that, you know what, I'm thankful that God made me, that I'm alive, that I can move forward. I have another day to get it right. And then be encouraged by the fact that you can live in those positive places rather than letting doubt or anger take control of you. Now, how do you do that? Here's an exercise. And one of the exercises you do is a deep breathing exercise where you literally, when you are up against something tense or an argument or discussion or a sense of doubt, find a quiet place. Then, as you sit in that quiet place, just close your eyes and get a sense of air coming through your nose, going down your throat into your lungs. Feel your lungs expanding. Then slowly let that air out. And as you slowly let that air out, you sit there and think about the magnificence that you have the opportunity to breathe air, that you have the opportunity, that you have been made, that you're a whole person, and you have the opportunity to fix whatever is bothering you at that point in time. Spend about 2-3 minutes just slow breathing and realizing that you are a special person and that you can have a better and a brighter day tomorrow or the day after that or whenever that brighter day comes. But know that day is coming. Know that you're not finished and you're not out for the count. That's what's called the authentic self. The authentic self is supercharging your positivity about you, knowing that you're not put on earth by accident and that you have a purpose in life, and that situation you're going through, that can be fixed. You may not have an answer for it right then and there, but the authentic self says to you, breathe in that air that defines the positive person that you are. And then stay in that quietness. And then you'll be surprised that those few minutes of quietness, how it will redirect your own aggression. And then you can just go and face any situation. Now, again, you may not have the answer for a situation, but you'll have the calmness to know that, hey, you know what? Let's talk this situation out. Number one. Number two, I'm just going to share with you how I was feeling at the time the situation happened. You can tell a person that you were angry. To me, speaking that stuff out or naming that demon called anger, you calling that thing out. While calling it out, you're not trying to hide it. People don't realize that your stress hormones, your cortisol levels, your epinephrine levels increase when you bottle up anxiety and you don't express it. The very nature of speaking something can release something biologically. So that's why I think it's very, very important that on the self-care side, you find a spot of quietness. You understand that in that quiet, you don't dwell on what's trying to pull you off of your route. Remember what I said, that on your route, you are your authentic self, and that authentic self is happiness. You want to stay on the route of happiness. You're the bus driver for happiness, and there are things that are constantly trying to pull you off that route. You purpose that nothing will pull you off the route. And that's why you want to stay in a state of calmness. That is your strength for keeping things from pulling you off of your route of happiness. So I just want to share that because that's something I use. I use that when I'm not being treated kindly, when I'm being treated unfairly, or I have anger, or I have jealousy issues. I have to come into a quiet space and recenter myself in order to move on. So
thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Audience, I hope you all taking this in. This is some really good information. Dr. Gabriel, we always appreciate when you come because you bring so much valuable information and things that we can apply every day. So I appreciate that. I want everyone to understand you deserve to feel and be the best that you can, mentally, physically, and spiritually. You are worth it. Dr. Gabriel, something I want to bring up, and I have to bring it up because, again, this is a part of our personal growth, self-care, and we want to give people tools and resources they can use. Now, one of your resources, again, I have to share with my audience, I use Jabati. You are the chief scientist of Jabati, which is a resource that can help you with a lot of what you just said. It is something that you use for your body, but it also helps with that whole self-care, personal growth. People will be amazed how just taking a aromatherapy shea butter and rubbing it in your hand and putting it into your nose and breathing it and putting you in that place where you just described of peace. So share with our audience about your Jabati approach to self-care as well.
Yeah, when we started the company, that was one of the reasons we started the company. We looked at this combination of aromatherapy and skin health and combined it into a series of products. And that's really the first phase of what Jabati Skin Therapeutics is. We are a company that we understand this whole aspect of self-care and personal growth. And we understand that there are elements that are tools that you need to use that can aid you on that journey. We think that the Jabati Skin Therapeutics line of products are aids. They're aids in your personal growth. They're aids in self-care. And you get the added benefits of skin health from the anti-inflammatory small molecules that we have in our formulations. And we are developing it across a whole line of different life activities. So, when you look at, we want every bathroom experience to be like a spa experience. And it goes back to something I was alluding to a moment ago, that quiet space. Your bathroom time can be quiet time. And why not have a quiet time that includes aromatherapy that can elicit the stimulation of peaceful hormones and decreasing those stress hormones, your norepinephrines and your cortisols. Why can't you have an environment that allows you to refocus and rededicate and repurpose yourself in the span of a quiet time? So that's why we came up with Jabati. We want Jabati to be a list of aids and tools for personal care. We want it to be a series of aids and tools for connection between people, whether it is couples, partners. We want it to be that's that aromatherapy part and the skin health part, and that's why we developed these products. And like I said, we have a whole line of products that we currently have. We have a whole set of products that we're developing for late spring and for summer that will stay along that theme. And we believe that self-care through skin care is a subset of personal care and personal growth, because in that peace time and in that quiet time, you can refocus yourself on how you dedicate yourself as a human being. And that's what we're about.
So audience, I hope you have taken all that in. Thank you so much, Dr. Gabriel, for coming and sharing all of that amazing information with us. If you would like to get in touch with Dr. Gabriel, please share with our audience your website or ways that people just can connect with you if they have any questions.
Well, they can connect to me through our website. It's at jabodybody.com. That's JABODIBODY.com. Or you can email me directly at Gary, Gary, at JA-BODI.com. So those are the two ways you can get to me through our website by simply just going to the Talk to Us page.
Till next time, we hope you guys enjoyed our discussion today. We'll have another discussion on personal growth. We want to bring you different methods and approaches to help tap into that new you into the new year, and hope that new you will evolve into something, a part of your lifestyle. So until then, next time, thank you again, Dr. Gabriel, for joining us today.
Yep, appreciate it.
Everyone, as I've always say, live life with intention, purpose, and love. Until next time, thank you all. ACW is sponsored by Jabody. Self-care through skincare. Jabody is for everybody.